Hey guys, this is Blake here with the Team MST Negates, bringing you something a little different from the last few videos I've done. Last few have just been opening product. This time I'm going to showcase a deck that I've been having a lot of fun playing with recently, and of course, as you can tell from the top card, is going to be Generaider. So currently I have two different builds for it. I kind of want to showcase the two different builds I have, the pros and cons of each build, and kind of go from there. So for the first one, I will go ahead and move cards out the way. First build is going to be the Condemned Witch variant. I kind of like it. This is the one I've been playing most frequently, just because that's what I had access to at the time being. So Condemned Witch is a really weird card. It only has the one printing, but it says when it's normal summoned, you can add any forbidden quick play spell or trap, any forbidden spell from your deck to hand, quick play forbidden spell from deck to hand. And then during your opponent's main phase, you can then tribute her off to special any level 4 or lower fairy. And so she pairs really well with the new monster out of Eternity Code, Lopter. So Lopter, you run 3 of him. He is fantastic. It's one of the other normal summons for the deck. So if you use the Condemned Witch to special him out on your opponent's turn, you do have a Forbidden Chalice or Forbidden whatever card you want to play already in your hand or set on the field, whichever you choose to do. And then you have Lopter. So Lopter's effect says during your opponent's turn, all your Generaider monsters gain 1,000 attack and defense, which makes them extremely beefy, which is great. But the main effect that everyone uses him for in the deck, or I guess the better effect, in my opinion, is the fact that you contribute one Generaider monster, whether it be himself or a token, to then special summon one from your deck. And it can be any Generaider monster that you want, as long as you don't already control one copy of said Generaider monster on your field. So he is fantastic. He's a normal summon. He gets you any Generaider you need. If you don't open up your boss stage, he can fix that problem with his effect. So he is a mandatory 3-of in my opinion. Then on to the boss monsters. Currently I'm just playing the one Mardell. Her effect is when she's summoned, you get to search out any Generaider card. Typically when I use her, I will be getting out the field spell, or if I already have the field spell, I'll get out one of the other spell or traps, just depending on the situation. So she's good, but not that good. You only run one copy of her. The next one that I also run one of is Nidhogg. He's not bad. It's just tribute to destroy a special summon monster, like when it's special summoned. So he's not bad. Very situational, but I enjoy playing him at 1. Continuing the lineup of Generate monsters. This one also out of Eternity Code is the 2 Har, the Boss of Storms. This is one of the most absurd cards that the deck has ever been printed for the deck, because it says if your opponent draws a card or adds a card from deck to hand, doesn't matter which way, they have to send a monster from their hand or field to the graveyard. This is not destruction, this is not discard, this is sending it to the grave, which is really strong in my opinion. The second effect he has is an Omni Negate. You contribute 2 Generaider monsters to negate the activation and destroy whatever it is you're negating. A monster effect, spell trap, anything like that. It all works. He is fantastic, and I love him. Now back to another one of is Udgarda. It's good, but not that good. His effect says you contribute 2 to banish something. Unfortunately, it is targeting, and it doesn't get around the cards say they can't be destroyed by card effects, but it's not destroying it, or it's not getting around those that say they can't be targeted. So he's good, but again, I just play him as a 1-of because the next card that you play is going to be 2 Hela, and she's pretty much just a monster reborn. You contribute a Generaider to special 1 from your grave. And so, you know, if you do have to tribute off one of your bigger boss monsters, you can use her to bring it back out, and it's not that big of a deal. So she's really good. I'd say recommend 2 of, 3 a little cloggy, 1 not enough. So I think 2 is a great number for her. One more boss monster I didn't have enough room to show is Frody. They're very situational. A lot of times I use them just off of World Legacy Monstrosity, just to summon as a different target. But their effect's pretty good. You contribute, generate monsters, and then destroy up to that many cards on your opponent's side of the field. But they get to also draw that many cards. So it's high risk, high reward. Again, typically I just play it just as a name. The Then onto the non-generated monsters. This one, I still have no idea how to pronounce the name, Trias, something like that. They are also new out of Eternity Code. They're not a generated monster, but it feels like they should be because they contribute fairy monsters to summon itself. Excuse me. And so when it summons itself, depending on how many fairy monsters you attributed to summon it, it will get different effects. If you use 2, you get to destroy a card, or if you use 3, you get to draw a card and destroy cards. So it's pretty good because your tokens that you generate with your field spell are fairies, so it synergizes really well. And the last one I run, or monster I run, is the 1 copy of Nightmare Corruptor Idli. It's a weird tech choice. I've been debating taking it out, but when your opponent is able to IP into something that says it can't be targeted or can't be destroyed by card effects, it makes things a little more difficult. But she says when she spells summoned, send all links, if your opponent controls more links than you do, excuse me, send all links to the graveyard. So it doesn't target, it doesn't destroy, it sends them to the graveyard. So that's why I played the 1 copy of her, because you can use Monstrosity to special her out if need be, because she is also a level 9. And again, this is just my tech choice. You don't have to play this, because she makes the deck 41 cards for me. So the next card, you have to play 3 of this in my opinion, is the field spell. I know there are ways to get it outside of just drawing into it, but it is so strong. So your field spell, what it does is if your opponent draws a card, including their draw phase, you can special summon a generated monster. And then its second effect is if you special summon a generated monster during your opponent's turn, you get to special summon tokens as many as you can onto your field. So this is what brings out your level 9s. This is what brings out your small little tokens, and that's what really keeps your plays going. And if you don't have this on the field, it's a little rough. That's why you want to see it as often as you can. Which is also why we're playing 3 of the Generaider boss quest. This one says you reveal a level 9 Generaider, or not a level 9, it's just a Generaider monster in your hand. Shuffle it back into the deck, draw 2 cards, or not draw 2 cards, add 2 Generaider cards with different names that are spell or traps. So typically you can activate this, grab your boss stage, or one of your traps, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But this is just consistency. So it is really good to have. The next are just some generic cards. So again, you are playing the Condemned Witch variant, so you do want to be running Forbidden Chalice or any of the other Forbidden cards. I prefer Chalice because it's, it does negate monster effects, and it also boosts attack. So you can use it in 2 different ways. If you need a smidge more attack to keep a monster from being destroyed, you have it. If you just want to negate a monster effect, it does that too. I like to run 2 of because you run 3 Condemned Witch, 2 just feels right. Again, you want to see your field spell, so I play Extravagance. In this build, I don't care about the extra deck that much, so it's very loose. So, Extravagance is a good card for that. Next 3 of I play is the 3 Monstrosity. I've seen a lot of people cut this down to 2. I still like it at 3 because if you brick, but you have this in your hand, you can at least special summon 1 level 9 from your hand, and that kind of gets you started. It can also be really good if you're, on your opponent's turn, you just want special 2, as long as you currently have 1 level 9. It's really good for that as well. I really like Monstrosity. I think it's a fantastic card in the deck, and obvious, in my opinion, 3 of. Rest of the spell traps, 1 Terraforming, because again, you want to see your boss stage. And then last spell I run is 3 Called by the Grave. I think this is a must in just about any generated list, because if you get ashed or anything like that from getting your field spell, it hurts. So, generic, good. The last cards that I play are going to be the traps. The first one being the Generaider boss fight. So this one says you can activate a Generaider boss room from either the deck or the grave. So this does give you a little bit of recursion, but it does get your field spell out, and then it makes your opponent draw a card. So your opponent drawing a card will then trigger your field spell, and then you get to summon a monster. So you don't really get hurt too bad off of this card. It's fantastic. I say it's a mandatory 3 of. Just because you need that field spell. And then the last few traps I play are the 1 Generaider boss room trap. It just says if your opponent tries to activate a monster effect in response to a generate card activating, it turns into you discard a card and both players draw a card. It's a one of, it's searchable, it's good, but not that good. And so the last one for the main deck, I run 2 impermanents just because it's one of the better hand traps. You know, it can't be called by the grave because it's a trap, so I like 2 impermanents. And so, like I mentioned earlier, this build, I don't care about the extra deck that much. So it's just a bunch of 3-ofs. So the first one being 3 Jormungandr, 3 True King of All Calamities. It's a level 9. It's fantastic. Might as well. 3 of the Phantom Beast XZ monster, or Phantom Fortress, excuse me. Just because it has so many things it can do. You know, it can banish a card, make your opponent send a card from the hand to grave. There's so many things it can do. 9 Lives Cat, again, I don't ever go into it because I don't really care about the extra deck. It's just there for extravagance sake. And the last one is going to be 3 Infinite Trek Earth Slicer, and so it's just a free pop 2 essentially. It's a pretty big boy. That's the whole reason I run it. But if you mill it or banish it, excuse me, off of extravagance, it's not that big of a deal. And so that is all I have for the first build, which is the Condemned Witch variant. Again, I think it's strong just because Condemned Witch does get you Forbidden Chalice, which is another another monster negate on top of everything you're able to do after that with Lopter or whatever else your hand's looking like. So I'm going to cut it to the next build, which is going to be the Gearsuo variant. So let's get right into it. All right, I have switched the cards out that need be to make it where this is now the Gearsuo variant of Generaider. And so as you can see, and as I just said, Gearsuo is now being your normal summon for the deck. So Gearsuo will be replacing Condemned Witch, and I'll explain again why in a few minutes once I get to the combo that you can do with it. So starting off the deck, you'll play 3 Gearsuo. It is a phenomenal card out of Eternity Code, and I think this gives your turn 1 presence a lot more impact than what Condemned Witch can do for you. And so with this one, with Gearsuo, you have to play the 1 copy of World Legacy World Armor. Again, it has a spot in the combo, which I will then display here in a few minutes. For the rest of the generated monsters, I'm not going to explain their effects or anything. I'll go through and say the ratios. But a lot of it hasn't changed from the first part of the video. So first one is going to be 3 Lopter. Again, fantastic card. An additional normal summon, or an alternate normal summon. 1 Mardell, 1 Nidhogg, 2 Har, 1 Utgarda. I do run the 1 Duvalgus. His effect is you contribute generated monsters to special summon from your hand. Up to however many tokens you tribute. So he can clear dead hands. I'll probably put him into the Condemned Witch variant at some point as well, but for the time being, I left him out. Same thing with the last one, 2 Hela, the 1 Frody. This time I'm only playing 1 of the Trias instead of 2, and I'm not playing the Idli. So that leaves a little bit of room left in the deck for hand traps. So in this case, I'm playing 3 Ash Blossom just because it is a great card. And then the last hand traps I've been playing are the 2 Moonlit Chill. Now this is up to whatever you want. You can put in Nibiru, you can put in Effect Veiler. Personally, I like Moonlit Chill more than most other hand traps right now. Nibiru is good, but sometimes you're going to play against control and it's just going to be dead in your hand. Whereas Moonlit Chill can be a little bit more impactful in different matchups. So since she just got released, I'm really enjoying playing with her online. So I will continue to play with her in this variant of the deck. On to spells and traps. Again, not a lot of this has changed from the last part of the video, but I am playing the 3 boss room again, or the boss stage, excuse me. This time 2 copies of Boss Quest, 2 Monstrosity instead of 3. I think it's better to play 2 instead of 3 in this one, because you can clog pretty bad with it. 1 Succession because you need it for part of the combo, which I will show again in a few minutes. The 1 Terraforming again, and since this variant you care about your extra deck a little bit, you can't run Extravagance, but the nice thing is you do have Kujikuri Curse, which is a newer card. I think it was out of Ignition Assault if I'm not mistaken, which just pretty much is a trade-in for level 9 monsters. So yeah, you do lose the ability to run Extravagance, but you still do have a little bit of draw power in your deck. rounding out the spells, we have 1 Monster Reborn, and then lastly 3 Called by the Grave. Generic, you don't want to get hand trapped, especially your opening with Gearsuo. If they ash it or anything like that, it hurts, but if you have Called by, you're fine. Onto the traps. This time I'm only playing 2 of the boss fight, and then 1 of the boss room again. So not much has changed in that line. So I'm going to go ahead and get cards ready for the combo. Before that, I will show you the bare minimum of what you need for the extra deck. You can choose whatever other cards you want to in the extra deck. But the few things that I already have pulled out that I will be playing at least 1 copy of. Jormungandr, I will probably play him at 2. True King of All Calamities, I will also probably play him at 2. Phantom Fortress, I'm just playing the 1 of, possibly bump it to 2. 9 Lives Cat may or may not run, haven't decided yet. Earth Slicer, I will play at least 1 of. And now the cards that you actually have to have in the deck for the combo to work. First of being Link Karibo, then Link Ross, then Lib, and lastly the new Trishula fusion. And again, I'll explain why in a few minutes. So I'm going to go and get the cards ready and start the combo tutorial for the the Gearsuo variant. Alright, so starting off the combo portion for the Gearsuo variant, like I said earlier, your main normal summon in the deck will now be Gearsuo, whereas the last time it was the Condemned Witch. So Gearsuo, when he's normal summoned, if he allows you to dump either an Orcus card or a World Legacy card from your deck to your grave. So you will take your 1 copy of World Armor and you will send it to the grave. And it will have a role in a little bit. So Gearsuo, his other effect is if he's the only monster you control, you can give yourself and your opponent a token in defense position. So I would go ahead and give myself and my opponent a token. From here you will link off the token into Link Karibo. Because you need it to work that way for the combo. So then you can take Link Karibo and Gearsuo, link these 2 off for Lib. Lib says you can take a World Legacy spell or trap and set it from your deck directly to your field, but you can't activate it while you have no World Legacy cards in your graveyard, which conveniently, if you remember, we just sent the World Armor, so you can take your Succession, go ahead and activate it, and special summon out your World Armor. Now World Armor says when it's summoned, you then can add a World Legacy card from deck to your hand. So in this case, you will add your Monstrosity to your hand. So you have that primed and ready to go. So Lib's effect then, you will link her off, for Link Karibo, or Link Ross, Lib's effect then will trigger as well, which allows you to remove the token from your opponent's side of the field, essentially. And you get yourself 2 tokens. At this point, you're going to want to take one of your tokens, get rid of it for the Link Karibo that was in your graveyard, and now you have the beginning part of the combo. From here, it's up to you of what you would like to get rid of. I typically will choose Link Ross, World Armor, and the token, fusion those off for the new Trishula fusion. Its effect doesn't matter at this point. The fact is that it's a level 9, and that's what matters. So you can use your World Legacy Monstrosity and get the most out of it with it. So with World Legacy Monstrosity, you will target your Trishula since it is level 9, unless you summon 2 level 9s from the deck that are different types. You will want to go with Mardell and Har. So this will be your board state currently, is with Har, Mardell, Trish, and then a Link Karibo. From here, you can before you overlay, Mardell's effect will activate, which searches you out any generated card. If you don't already have your field spell, you're going to want to get your field spell and activate it at this point. So I'll set it off to the side over here, saying that it has been activated. From here, you will then overlay your Mardell and Trishula to go into Jormungandr. You then use Jormungandr's effect to attach 1. Both players will attach a card. You can either attach something from your hand, or in this case, I'll just attach the Link Karibo. Your opponent will have to attach something from their hand to your Jormungandr, and it will be at 3,000 attack. But not only that, is your opponent drew a card with Jormungandr's effect. So, boss stage will trigger, Har will also trigger, so your boss stage will special you out a monster. It can be any monster. I'm just using Frody for the time being. And then Har's effect will then make them send one of their monsters that they just drew, if they have a monster in hand, send it to the grave. So they're not really netting anything on this. And then from here, you can link these two, or not link, excuse me, overlay these two for True King of All Calamities. Typically, I will put him in defense just because Lightning Storm is a thing and you don't want to get hit by it. And this is a pretty strong board state. You can use Jormungandr on your opponent's turn again. You already have Boss Stage on your field, and you have True King of All Calamities. So this combo is very susceptible to Nibiru, which is the one downside to it, in my opinion. But this combo is a lot stronger than the Condemned Witch variant because it's giving you a lot harder board presence on turn one, whether you're going first or second. There have been times where I would Dark Rule No More an opponent with the Condemned Witch variant, and I can't really do much else outside of that other than summon Condemned Witch, get her effect off, and a few other things. But you can't really clear a board that way. With this one, you at least get two monsters that have very large attacks and defense that you can then try to break a board a little bit if you've been able to Dark Rule No More. And going first, this is really oppressive because you do have Jormungandr, which, again, can take something from their hand, a combo piece that they might need, who knows. And you do have True King of All Calamities, which is just really oppressive in general. And you still have Boss Stage on field, so say your opponent draws for their next turn, you can go, if you want to, into Hela. Hela will summon out the two, or you'll get the two tokens from Boss Stage. You can then tribute off one of the tokens with Hela's effect to bring out Har, and you have Har on your field again. Use Jormungandr's effect to make them send another one to the grave while attaching one to him. It's very, 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 very strong. So personally, I like the Gearsuo variant more. Yes, it's a little bit more combo heavy. Yes, it's susceptible to Nibiru, but it gives you such a strong presence on turn one, whether you are, again, going first or second. The pros of the Condemned Witch variant: it's nice because if you don't have to worry about breaking a board, you're able to get Forbidden Chalice, Lopter. If you already have a field spell, you're able to activate that, get another monster on your opponent's turn. You have so much advantage just there from their first turn, along with, again, a couple negates because of Condemned Witch's effect getting you the Forbidden Chalice. So both versions of the deck I think are good, but personally I think I'll be running the Gearsuo variant from here on out. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this type of video, let me know, and I'll try to do it more with some of the other decks I have. As always, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you would like to do. I'll catch you guys next time.